Directors meeting. It's Monday, December 9th, 2024. It's 4 o'clock, and we're in the Carson City Community Center Robert Bob Kroll Boardroom. With that, can I get a roll call, Linda?
Mike Jones,
Here.
Andrew Reno,
Here.
Kitty McKay, Damon Bott,
Here.
Stacy Giomi.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Yeah.
Hi, Denny French. I just wanted to thank you all for showing. It's very important, your duties and such. I would like to note that I feel like the information that you receive from your advisors would be helpful for all of the city to know because it helps us understand our place in our community as well as in the state. And so thank you for the efforts of having those informations available. I'd also like that 5.7 is what I heard this earthquake was, and I don't know where you were at the time, but I was in the library, and I want to say the staff handled it wonderfully. There weren't any casualties or even books falling or any injuries, I should say. It went very smoothly, and I have to suggest that that's because the staff is very supportive of the people there and very confident in the sense of their ability to handle emergencies. So I was really impressed. Thank you. And that'll be it for tonight, and I look forward to hearing the presentations. Thank you.
Before we move on to item 5, we've got some changes in the agenda. Item 9, there's some late material. It's for the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority presentation, just some additions and some corrections, I'm told. It's been the late material's been posted on the website and is at the back of the room for those that need it. Also, item 10, contract with the Estepana Group. Late material, I'm not sure I quite understand. It's some language, a federal piece to the contract. It doesn't change the scope of the contract, just some added material. And again, it's posted on the website and at the back table. And finally, item 11, we're going to pull this agenda item from the meeting about the policies and procedures. Room tax policies and procedures. There's still some work that needs to be done on it, and I want to make sure the board has the full packet before we discuss it and go over it and approve it. So that'll be moved to the January meeting. Any questions on the late material or the agenda changes? With that, we'll move on to item 5, approval of minutes, November 15th, 2024. Any changes, corrections, additions to the minutes from the board? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve?
All motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Second, Stacy.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Would any member of the public like any individual item pulled for discussion? No? Any member of the board would like any individual item pulled for discussion? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
All motion to approve.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing none, motion passes. With that, we'll move on to item 9, discussion only, presentation and discussing regarding Reno Sparks Convention and a Visitors Authority, DMO update. David, you want to introduce our guest or kick
I would
us
love
off?
to. Yeah, thank you, Chair. For the record, Dave Peterson, Executive Director with Visit Carson City. I'm super excited to see these three gentlemen in front of us today. Mr. Larraguetta is the President and CEO of the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority. We have John McGinnis, Art Jimenez as well. I'll let them introduce themselves as the presentation goes on, but I want to say these guys are amazing. They're one of our peers as a DMO in the Reno Tahoe territory, and I certainly enjoy working with each of these guys and the rest of their team to bring an amazing visitor experience here to the Reno Tahoe area. And the collaborative efforts that we've undergone with these guys over the past several years have been nothing short of amazing, I do believe. So with that, unless you have something, Chair, let
I'm
Mike take it
told
away.
that it'll be a very quick 95-page. So with that, let's
94,
get
they cut a
started.
slide, Mike. Mike, with that, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you. Good afternoon. For the record, Mike Larraguetta, President and CEO of the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority. Chair Jones, thank you for having us today. David, thank you for the kind words. As part of our community outreach and collaboration, we are excited to be here today and provide you some information and updates as it relates to how we're performing in Washoe County. A lot of this information, I'm sure, will cross over into data that you all look at here on a daily basis. So hope it will be relative. And also, we wanted to be here today because David was so generous in coming and presenting to our team that we felt it was only appropriate that we could do the same for you. So again, thank you for having us. With that, I'm going to go through very quickly part of the agenda that we'll be talking about today, provide some overall information, and then I will pass the clicker off to my colleagues, Mr. McGinnis, who's our VP of Sales, and Mr. Jimenez, who's our Executive Director of Tourism and Leisure Sales. So today we'll go very quickly through the history, vision, and mission of the RSCBA, talk a little bit about production. Mr. McGinnis will kind of cover convention sales and venue management. We'll jump into community engagement, tourism sales and marketing, and earned media, which will be handled by Mr. Jimenez. So our board, we're made up of a 9-person board. Our Madam Chair is the Mayor of City of Reno, Ms. Hillary Sheevy. Our Vice Chair is Mr. Richard Jay, who's a representative from the airport. Our Secretary Treasurer is Mr. Stephen Esquaga, who comes from the gaming segment. Mr. Ablasar is a representative from the Chamber of Commerce. Councilwoman Bybee represents the City of Sparks. Mr. East is another NRA member, gaming representative from the J Resort. Commissioner Hill is the obviously representing Washoe County. Mr. Greg Long is our Incline North Lake Tahoe representative, and Mr. Rick Murdoch also is NRA from the gaming segment. So a little bit about the history of the RSCBA. We were established in 1959 as the Washoe County Fair and Recreation Board as a marketing organization for Washoe County. Our vision is to be the preferred outdoor gaming and event destination, and our mission is to attract overnight visitors to Reno Tahoe while supporting the sustainable growth of our communities. So going into the production, very similar stats, which I'm sure you look at as well. So we are obviously on a fiscal year, July 1 through June 30th. So we tend to look at 18-19 as the benchmark and 19-20. Those 2 years is really where we had very strong performance. Consistently started to obviously tail off the back end of 20 with obviously the pandemic and COVID. But as you can see, we have not only recovered, but we remained very consistent for the last 4 years, and we are budgeting for fiscal year 24-25 to exceed 3.5 million visitors for Washoe County. When you look at our taxable room revenue, not only have we, looking at 18-19, met those numbers, but we have exceeded those numbers for the last 4 years. Again, a lot of this taxable room revenue is driven by visitor counts, is driven by occupancy, but more importantly, what you'll see in the slide coming next, it's really driven by average daily rate. We have seen a significant growth in the average daily rate in Washoe County the last 4 years. Obviously, we attribute a lot of that performance to capital improvements in our properties, expansion of the select service properties, additional convention and meetings industry in the sports business is really creating a foundation that allows our properties to yield their rates and drive higher average daily rates. And then I don't want to discount the special events segment as well. Obviously, special events are very important to our region. They're performing, draw visitors, and are driving the ADR as well. Room inventory, in 18-19, we were at our peak in total available room nights on an annual basis of north of 8.5 million. We have sustained consistent performance in this level. We haven't seen any dips despite obviously the closure of the Harris property in downtown Reno, which was a significant amount of inventory. We have subsidized that with growth in the select service property segment, limited service, which a lot of people don't realize, when you think of what makes up your inventory in the Reno Sparks area, North Lake Tahoe, it's predominantly driven by casino resorts. Very important segment, obviously. They're the foundation of what makes us tick in the state of Nevada. But what a lot of people don't realize is 1/3 of our inventory and 1/3 of our room tax that is produced on an annual basis comes from the select service, limited service category. Very important to our region. All right, Mr. McGinnis will handle the convention sales segment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. John McGinnis, Vice President of Sales for the RCVA. Just want to go over the deployment of our team for the RCVA. We have 7 remotes that are on the lower part of the slide here that are all strategically placed throughout the United States, covering the major markets for us so we can get maximum penetration of those conventions that are coming out west to us. At home in Reno, we have 4 selling team members. 3 are comprised of our sports market segment, and then 1 is our business development market segment, and Mr. Marcus Johnson is that gentleman. He actually covers all the relationships with all the third-party meeting planners, the HPNs of the world, Helms Briscoe, and Conference Direct, very, very large segment for us, who all would love to have a single point of contact, and Marcus does a fantastic job of communicating and engaging, and the leads that he gets from those third-party meeting planners is pretty fantastic. Valerie Sagara, she is located in Las Vegas, and she is new to the team, just like myself. She was hired to be our Director of Event Development. We put $1 million into special events for the region, and Valerie's job is to go out and find us new events and bring those to the region, which will have great economic impact. Those can be special events like a Burning Man. They could be concerts like a Lollapalooza, et cetera. And that is her task, and that is her job. And actually, this week, she has some agents from C3, which is an offshoot of Live Nation, that are coming to town, and they are scouting the area for a future event. So very, very exciting for us. New territory, but Valerie's doing a great job in doing that. As our president said, 2018-19 is the year that we really look at to benchmark ourselves and try and get back to. Obviously, the pandemic did not do us any favors in having conventions relocate or not even take place at all. In 2018, 2019, we had 239,000 room nights that were generated from 740 leads that came into our system. The great thing about this is in the 23-24 year, we almost hit a 300,000 room night mark, which really eclipses what we did in 18-19. The fascinating thing about it is yet only 625 leads came from that. A lot of associations, we're doing a lot of combining together after COVID, and a lot of these groups are staying a little bit longer with us that we contracted. So very great stats for us, almost 300,000 room nights. Nice little graphic there. Thank you, Mr. Art Jimenez. If you did not know or hear about it, it was probably a little greater than this little earthquake we just had today. Was us shouting from the rooftops on Thursday night. We just did our grand opening of the first indoor track facility in this part of the country. There are 3 other tracks actually that are on the West Coast: Seattle, Spokane, and Albuquerque. And the vision of our president one day out on the golf course came to fruition this Thursday when we opened up a brand new Mondo track. Mondo is the company that has been the official Olympics track provider since 1992. I think they've actually been doing it for longer than that, 40 years. But Mondo is the premier indoor track builder, and this track is nothing short of spectacular. That same night, Thursday night, when we had a reception and we were able to show off the track to the public, we actually had a meet that was going on that had just finished a couple hours prior that went on through the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Listening to the athletes, listening to some coaches, And even our president has received some great recognition and praise for the track, stating that this track is probably one of the nicest tracks they have seen in the nation. So you have to come down, you have to see this. It's absolutely fantastic. There's a nice little picture of our track, artist rendition. And this year for 2024-25, we're going to be predicting that we're going to have, a little over 22,000 room nights for the first year, building up all the way to 2028-29, where we're looking at doing possibly 51,000 room nights. And that is brand new business coming into the region, coming to Reno, coming to Carson, coming to Virginia City, coming to explore what we've got out here in the West. So pretty fascinating and exciting stuff for us. As you can see, there are bleachers in the convention hall, and this is in the Reno Sparks Convention Center, where we will be a track facility from November through March every year. You could not have made this any better of a dream scenario for us, where business is a little bit lighter in that time frame, and having high school and collegiate athletes coming to our town to run on this track. Mondo says this is probably one of the fastest tracks they've ever built, and we are really expecting some world records to be broken here in our region. So again, very exciting. Can you tell I ran track in junior high and high school? In 2023, we finished up with the Open Championships. I know that these folks, when they come to our region, they come to the lake, they come to Carson City, they come to Virginia City to check out what we have. But this is the United States Bowling Congress, and this is the bowling tournament that lasts from March through July. 9,500 teams came, almost 48,000 bowlers, which was about 120,000 room nights, with an economic impact of $73 million. Just a fantastic piece of business that comes to Reno very frequently and to our region. 2024, we finished with the USBC Women's Championships, a little bit smaller, 3,700 teams, but definitely no slouch when it comes to room nights. 34,000 room nights produced from April to June, with an economic impact of $26 million. For the future, 2026 all the way through 2033, those tournaments will be coming back to the region, and you can see when those are taking place. And right now, we are in the midst of negotiating for, I believe it's 3 more tournaments with USBC, which would take us through, I believe it's 2038. Yes, sir. And let's see here, going into venue management. If you weren't aware, the RCVA oversees and manages 4 different facilities in Reno. One is obviously our Reno Sparks Convention Center, home of our new indoor track. The other is the National Bowling Stadium, which is the Taj Mahal of 10 pins for those tournaments that come to town. And then you've got the Reno Sparks Livestock and Event Center, which obviously is the crown jewel for the Reno Rodeo when it comes to town. And then the Reno Event Center, which houses concerts, ice skating events, just a tremendous amount of activity in that building. Of those 4, I'll give you a guess of which one is the busiest and the most active. That would be the Livestock Event Center, staying about 85% occupied throughout the year. It's pretty fantastic and awesome. Community engagement, just wanted to show some of the partnerships that we have with Reno Tahoe Territory, RASC, the Regional Air Service Corporation, obviously UNR, and then also being good stewards with Lake Tahoe and the Destination Stewardship Council. Some of the events that we do, obviously, those things reach out to this region all over when they come to Reno. Again, we mentioned that we have $1 million that we put towards special event marketing and Valerie Segura bringing new events in, but these are just some of the events that obviously take place in the region. And the Taj Mahal of 10 pins that I just was talking about, the National Bowling Stadium, when it opened in 1995, there was an agreement that we would not have that facility open to take away any business from the proprietors that were in the Reno area, which were many at the time. That has since changed. A lot of those facilities have closed down. There are not as many as there used to be. So we have engaged with the public. We team up with charitable cause, and we have done 8 events in the National Bowling Stadium that we are a little bit punny. Holiday Bowl, the Eddie Bowl, which represents the Eddie House, which takes care of the homeless youth. Art Bowl, Boxers and Buddies Bowl, Basketball, Automo Bowl, which we did in combination with the National Automobile Museum, Book Bowl, and Boo Bowl for October. So far, we've had 1,800 bowlers come through the facility, and that's just from our general public that come in and get a chance to bowl on the lanes that are there. So pretty awesome experience for them. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Art Jimenez with the tourism report.
Thank you. Thank you. Art Jimenez, Executive Director of Tourism Sales for the record, and staying in line with our very, very top-level presentation, I'm going to do just a little top level on tourism sales. So tourism sales, we work with programs that represent business that is booked outside of brand.com. So peppermill.com, marriott.com, group direct with the hotels, conventions, associations, and so on. And everything that's left over to how to book a hotel room falls into third-party channels, which include OTAs or online travel agencies, Expedia, Priceline, travel agents, AAA, American Express, book beds, hotel beds, and so on and so forth. So we'll develop partnership marketing campaigns throughout the year, about half a dozen or so, are designed to promote the destination year-round, but specifically during our need periods, our shoulder months. And we also want to maintain communication and training with our travel advisors throughout the United States. It's very important to train this extended sales force so that they have the right tools, the right information to promote the destination. We communicate with 50,000 domestic travel agents monthly, 3,500 in Canada, and 15,000 in Mexico. And we have digital training platforms where there's certification programs for the agents to get certified on the destination. And then sales platforms is very important to go out and conduct one-on-one face-to-face selling. So we'll conduct sales missions throughout the United States, about 3 per year. That's a partnership with the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, Travel Nevada, and a lot of participation from our Reno Tahoe territory partners. We also conduct FAMs. One thing that we do very well up here in the north between all DMOs is conduct amazing FAMs. When we have a FAM come in from Volaris Airlines from Mexico or Spirit Airlines from the Midwest, and we do something in Reno, then we hand them off to Virginia City, then we hand them off to Carson City, and they're well taken care of to learn about the region. And then finally, trade shows. We attend 4 trade shows a year in tourism sales, a lot more on convention sales, but they're appointment-based. When we go into these trade shows with full appointment books, we come back with strong leads for our hotel partners, and then many of our RTT partners also contribute to these trade shows. So some of these brands you may recognize and some you may not, but it's important for us to be in both the business-to-business and business-to-consumer space in promoting the destination. And when we promote the whole region, we don't draw lines. Our visitors don't know the difference between one county to another, one state to another, or one city to another. So we're promoting the entire region heavily to promote that great experience. Marketing and research. So everything that we do is research-based. We conduct a visitor profile study and a brand survey that gives us information into what type of insight, gives us insight into our visitors and how they're thinking and what they're doing while they're in town, which helps us craft our message for advertising. We also conduct a resident sentiment study to learn if, what we're doing, how tourism affects the region, and which we all know that can be pretty interesting up here. And then we also, visitor origination, it's I can't tell the percentages, but about 30% are from the Bay Area, then it drops down to 5% in Las Vegas and 5% in the Los Angeles basin. So obviously we develop a lot of programming in these markets. We also work with tourism economics that gives us insight and visibility into other trends, whether they're overseas travelers or Airbnb or telephone data. And then we cobble it all together to come up with the right messaging to promote the region. We launched a new campaign at the end of 2023 entitled No Limits. And No Limits is a program that we want to target our travel intenders, people that are ambitious and want to go out and do fun explore new activities. We also want to promote new developments, whether they're new flights or a hotel opening or a new restaurant. And we also want to promote our cultural experiences and outdoor activities. With over 150 events annually held in Reno, there's a lot to promote. And of course, finally, we want to promote that we're an outdoor mecca for outdoor enthusiasts. Here's a little video.
So what does it mean to live with no limits? To escape what holds us back and lean into the lesser known. It means horizons open wider, giving more room for dreams to be chased. It means your pulse rises for all the right reasons. And even the smallest moments get etched deep in your soul. In other words, it means everything. Take it from me. Here in Reno, Tahoe, no limits isn't the best way to live. It's the only way. This is a place that fuels those in search of bigger, bolder experiences, where independent spirits double down on continuous evolution. Here, there is beauty in contrast. You can get down in the desert and soar above the Sierra, all in the same day. Our rich Western heritage will spark nostalgia and unleash curiosity. The sky is far from the limit around here. You can seek new heights while staying grounded in pristine natural splendor. It's also where artists turn our city into a larger-than-life canvas. And neon leads the way. It's the freedom of being a heartbeat away from exactly who you want to be, what you aspire to be, that fuels passion for our extraordinary home. So come explore where imagination meets adventure and the rugged meets the refined. We're talking where the country's largest alpine lake meets the biggest little city in the world. Welcome to Reno, Tahoe.
It's nice to have our mayor, who's also our board chair, who's also our spokesperson for that particular video, our destination video. And then to wrap up a little bit real quick, we did launch a new website in 2024. This summer goes deeper into helping you plan your activities. We introduced an AI trip planner. So you're a family of 4, I've got 2 kids, 13 and 15. They like sushi, they like to hike, they like to run, and it curates an itinerary for you. Goes through our website first, then it pulls from the overall web, and that was new this year. And then, as you can see, people are searching for events. Over half are looking for events in the region. And then we do work with a lot of brands. It's just a handful of brands that we work with creating content and bringing in social media influencers. And then we are, in our sustainability efforts, we have been partnering with Leave No Trace in our 2nd year of that relationship. And then earned media, we have a team internal. We have a local PR agency and a national firm based in New York City that are promoting a lot of information out there and just pumping it out to get us a lot of earned media in the region. And we certainly have plenty of information for this market. And then this last slide, $3.3 billion in visitor spending in Washoe County in 2023, $5.2 billion total economic impact, supporting 43,000 monthly jobs tied to tourism, and $443 million in state and local taxes generated. Be interesting to see what, excited to see what 2024 will show. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It was a great presentation. I think that track is a great idea, and it will open up a lot of marketing opportunities for you. And it's nice to see the bowling stadium being, I thought it was always underutilized, and seeing that come back to life. You know, I always find it interesting what our neighbors are doing, because that affects us, and the more successful you guys are, the more successful we'll be also, and the more successful Tahoe is. We're kind of in the middle, and thank you for supporting us. With that, I'll open it up to questions from the board.
I just want to say thank you for the co-op that you guys have been doing over the last few years. It's made a huge difference for all the surrounding counties, and seeing everybody get together and travel and work together has been amazing, and we appreciate having you guys here today.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Just a comment to that for the record, Mike Larragette again. Our CVA, you know, I think it's important to, and follow up to your comments, and then of course the board chair's comments, is that prior administrations, there's always been this unwritten rule that everything ends at the county line, and our tax dollars restrict us to only marketing and supporting things within Washoe County. One thing this organization and this team has done and been done it aggressively is that we truly believe in selling the entire region. And we have to work together and bring people to all of northern Nevada, just Washoe County. So thank you for saying that. Appreciate it.
No, it's nice to see the lines blurred. It's been a long time coming. Any other questions or comments from the board? Well, thank you for taking time out of your day. I appreciate the presentation. David, anything follow up?
I would just like to follow up on Mike's comment. We, as a small DMO, we don't have the budget to bring in 10, 15 influencers or tour operators from Mexico or Canada or any region in the US for that matter. And the fact that these guys are kind enough to put the dollars behind doing just that and then say, hey, you guys have them for an afternoon or a morning or a day, take them out to eat, take them, to Stewart, do whatever it is you guys want to do to showcase Carson City as a part of the overall sort of visitor experience. We don't have the funding to do that. So I just tip my hat to you guys for being open to doing that and sharing in those experiences for those folks to go back and talk about this whole region when they go back to their country or their destination, where they're from in the US. So thank you.
Dave, we have a van of 15 tour operators that are waiting outside. Just
Oh, perfect. Kitty, can they come to your place? Have dinner? Yeah, open up the grill. The collaboration has really been great, and we certainly appreciate it. I think I can speak for the other small DMOs in the Reno Tahoe area by saying, thank you for giving us a seat at the table. We really do appreciate that, and I mean that sincerely. So. Agreed. Yeah. Well, like you said, the visitor doesn't know the difference when you cross from one county line to the other county line. I think the only issue that the board here has is we have a very small share up at the lake, like 6.2% of the lake. So if you guys would allow us to shift a little bit further north and grow our share, that would be awesome. And not a lot, like maybe 12.4%, double. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Thanks,
right.
you guys, very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to item 10 for possible action discussion regarding contract number 2425-002 with the Estepana Group for web development and web app and for the 3D Culture Corridor for a total not to exceed the amount of $125,000 from December 9th, 2024 to the October 8th, 2026, utilizing joinder contract number 99SWC-S2340 between the state of Nevada and the Estepana Group. That was a mouthful. I know we have Edward on WebEx, I think is.
Yes, Chair. I think Edward's in the middle there, or maybe he's on the end. Sorry, I can't see up that far. Hi, Edward. Yeah, Mike, do you want me to just tackle this one real quick then? Bring everybody up to speed on the late material and the changes? Is that
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so let me just, as a friendly reminder, so if you recall, I want to say, was it last month? I think at the November meeting. It was the October meeting. We talked through the authorization to expend the 3D Cultural Corridor grant. That was a little over $631,000 that we were awarded. This particular contract is one element of that overall grant that we received. And this is the specific amount that we put in to create and develop a website with Edward and his team and an in-web app as well. In terms of the changes in the contract, I learned a lot in the last week, I'll be honest, with you about the way that this whole federal funding piece works. So the EDA on the travel and tourism side is how Travel Nevada received the money for these cultural corridor projects. And then, of course, we applied through Travel Nevada and the Nevada Commission on Tourism and received a grant. But because the original funding is from the EDA, the federal government, we needed to make a couple of adjustments in our contract document. And the first one is, in terms of the contract packet, it's on page 2, and it's the second whereas. Whereas contractors, you'll see compensation under this agreement does utilize in whole or part money derived from one or more federal grant funding sources. So we needed to adjust the language there to account for the fact that even though we're not getting the money from the federal government, Travel Nevada will eventually be reimbursed from the federal government for the expenses related to these grants that they issued. So that's the first adjustment or change, I should say, to the contract. And then, and this is on me, page 4, under section 5 compensation, subsection 5.1, it now has the words $125,000, not I think it said $1,202,000 or something like that. So we updated that, the words in there. And then the last change, again, this ties to this federal piece, is page 13 of 18 in the packet. And there's a new section 22, federal funding. So that whole section has been added into the contract to account for the origination of the money being the federal government. So as Chair Jones did say, it's the same scope of work. Nothing changes in terms of the work that Edward and his team will be doing, and it's still $125,000. But we needed to make some of these adjustments in terms of the original funding, I guess. And with that, I'll try to answer any questions, unless they're super difficult, in which case Todd might have to step in. But those are the changes.
Any questions from the board with David or Edward about the contract? Hearing none, if I could get a motion to approve.
All motion to approve. I'll second.
Well, I think
Let me
I'll
finish-
modify
let me
that. I'll
finish
make
my
the motion.
motion. I move to approve the contract changes read into the record.
The second,
I'll move to second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. With that, we'll move on to agenda item 12. Thank you, Edward, for being on. Presentation and discussion regarding the second annual Mark Twain Days Festival held May 10th through the 12th, 2024. Eric, you're going to lead us through this.
Eric Brooks, for the record, Arts and Culture Program Manager. So this is a quick revisit to get some of the economic results from the second annual Mark Twain Days Festival that was held last spring. So direct spending, this is based on attendance and average spending estimates. The event likely generated approximately 111,000 and change in direct economic activity. And this does not include spending on commercial lodging. Brand ambitions. So this event not only brought substantial direct spending to the area, but also increased awareness of Carson City's cultural and tourism assets, laying the groundwork for future economic and community benefits. Our local business impact, we had workshops, tours, and events, drove spending on tickets, dining, and shopping. And one thing to keep in mind is how many free events we had during this festival. So some of that normal ticket tracking where you can see how many tickets you sold wasn't available, which we have some things in place to fix that for next year for free events. Some of the key activities in Virginia City, we had the Twain Train, which was very popular. Full venue participation throughout Virginia City with sold out tours. In the Carson City workshops, we had 17 different sessions with variable attendance, ranging from 4 people to 32 participants. For music, notable sold-out concerts included Riders in the Sky that grossed over $13,000 and Coco Montoya at nearly $8,000. And both of those were held with our partners at Nashville Social Club. Some of the community highlights, as far as the community engagement, free admissions to major attractions, inclusive shuttle services, and robust cultural activities. So we were able to work with the state museums and having free admission on the Saturday to the State Railroad Museum, to the Nevada State Museum, thank you, and some other locations, which included the Capitol tours, and also the Children's Museum was free that day. As far as certificates and proclamations, Senator Jackie Rosen and Mayor Lori Bagwell recognized contributions to individual artists and larger groups. Marketing and research, there was an $18,000 ad spend, which was led by Brewery Arts Center, and this was larger than the first event in '23. Media coverage, we had extensive coverage in Sacramento and Reno on the TV. We also had extensive local press and social media strategies. Local attractions, Nevada State Museum, 382 visitors, Children's Museum, 250 visitors, and that included 37 zip codes outside of Carson City. Free activities, the donkey wagon rides were popular with over 300 participants, and that was as many as they could fit on from the start until the end, so very busy. Family Fun Saturday, gratitude cards, 40 people making those, and we had 75 people on the historic walking tour. Local business impact, increased visitation to local attractions, free events, and dining establishments contributed significantly to the Carson City and Virginia City economies. The attendance data, the breakdown of paid, child, and free tickets, as well as total attendance figures, provided a clear picture of event participation. The marketing and PR efforts, the $18,000 ad spend and extensive media coverage, both local and regionally, highlighted the promotional reach and its contribution to visitor engagement. Visitor engagement at local attractions, data from the Children's Museum, Nevada State Museum, and other free and paid activities provided tangible evidence of community and visitor involvement. Partnership and stakeholder contributions, we had an amazing collaboration for this event with the Virginia City Tourism Commission, the V&T Railway, and other local organizations underscored the event's broader regional impact. Opportunities for growth. Marketing optimization. A simplified event guide, some color coding is a possibility, and improved media partnerships. As far as the event coordination, we'd like to see a closer collaboration between Carson City and Virginia City, and explore a partnership to include Carson Valley. Our focus areas, music integration, streamlined workshop schedules, and walkable downtown-focused events. We have some information from Data.fi. So this has our top origin markets, which I think are no surprise. Carson City and Reno are the top two. Still very much a localized attendance, and as a new event, we're excited to see how we can grow that to have more people from outside the area coming. The overall visitation, with this data, we're looking at 12,000 total visitor days observed at Mark Twain Days. 91% were locals, which is less than 50 miles away. 9% more than 50 miles away. The Brewery Arts Center, National Social Club, and Children's Museum were the most visited event points of interest according to geolocation device pickup. And again, that number of 93 and 7 in-state, out of state. Event visitor information. So the points of interest compiled from Carson City and Virginia City where Mark Twain Days festivities were held are shown there in the map to the left. Let's move on to the next one here. Mark Twain Days event attendance demographics. So for the event locations, household demographics, we had 3 to 5 at 53%, which is great. The age demographics, 45 to 64 is still our highest percentage there, but it's great to see that 25 to 44% coming in at the same rate as 65 and older. And that's something that this event's really trying to do, is to target a younger demographic to be able to come out. And income demographics, our highest is that 100 to 150, which also makes sense with so many of the demographics being of older visitors and locals. Let's move on to the next. Mark Twain Days 2024 event correlation. So where else did we see event attendees go in Carson City? So they were attending the points of interest for Mark Twain Days. They were also around Carson City, big crowds in the downtown, and then moving down along from there. And those are the basic figures that we have from our partners who helped us assemble this, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from the board?
Covered everything.
I just have one question. What were the gratitude cards?
That was a workshop because it was around, well, it was Mother's Day weekend. So those were more or less Mother's Day cards that were led by artists. And then they called them gratitude, so it didn't pigeonhole it into Mother's Day cards, but it was basically Mother's Day cards.
I think it's a great event, and, it grew from the first year. We had changes, more events. I think like any event is kind of like a garden. It takes tender, loving care of a good gardener to grow it. And I think we have that in you. So thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you, and big credit goes out to the team, both at Brewery Arts Center and more than 30 partners that we had in the region. So looking to expand it this year, but also shrink it back in some ways. So we're excited to start working on that full bore starting next month.
Great, thank you. Now we'll move on to item 13, monthly non-action items and presentation and discussion only. David, do you want to lead us off?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Jones. With that, we'll take up 13A, my Executive Director update. In light of the amazing Friday with the brand new Gateway piece of public art, I just wanted to share some thoughts and comments. There's an idea that public art and creative placemaking are valuable tools in helping achieve the goals for economic vibrancy, sustainable tourism, social cohesion, and mental well-being. Last week, Carson City embarked along that path with the installation of Karen Yank's wayfinding sculpture, Sense of Place. This community project was fueled by a collaborative partnership between Carson City's government and the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority, and special recognition should be going out to the CCTA Board of Directors, all of you, Mayor Lori Bagwell, Supervisors Schutte, Giomi, Horton, and White for their visionary and proactive contributions to this project's success. In getting to know Karen over the past few months, it's easy to see how her meditative process influenced the work that we now have at the roundabout. I think the artwork is more than a pretty image. It truly captures and casts back her traits of honesty, reflection, humor, tradition, reverence, and authenticity, the same attributes that make Carson City a vibrant and welcoming place to visit and reside. The installation and the ribbon cutting received great coverage from Carson Now, the Nevada Appeal, KOLO, News Channel 8, and I think KTVN Channel 2 was there as well, and hundreds of positive mentions on social media. And I'd just like to say that the Visit Carson City staff provided introductions for Karen, to equipment rentals and the lighting engineer, Eli Smith, and that's Mr. Brooks right in front of you, who was on hand throughout the installation and decided that the original plan, I guess, needed to be upgraded to properly showcase the artwork at night, which I think they did an amazing job of. So, and that was at his own expense, that the lighting went from 2 spotlights to 6, I think, Eric. And again, this group working with Brewery Arts Center to host a month-long exhibition of Karen Yank's smaller sculptures, and Wallworks was amazing. Her reception and artist talk on Thursday had over 40 people, with 2 of her small sculptures selling. So I think that was an added benefit as well. She'll work with the BAC curatorial staff moving forward to return for a larger exhibition in 2026, which will include community outreach and a hands-on workshop. So I know Karen spent a lot of time in Carson City, which I really appreciate. She met a lot of folks, got to know the community members, business owners, civic leaders, and I think she really did leave with an overwhelming sense of gratitude and thanks for the warmth and kindness that you all showed her, which I think was really reflected in the piece again. So I would say we may not be a big city, but we are the capital city, and I think this monument stands as an exclamation mark to our place and our importance as the capital of the great state of Nevada. And if I might, I want to personally thank Mr. Brooks and recognize his efforts, who has been working tirelessly behind the scenes with Karen, those fabricators, those installation gentlemen, to bring this piece of public art to fruition. So hats off to Eric, and I'm not going to take credit for his good work, because truly he did an amazing job as far as I'm concerned to help this process along. So thank you, Eric, for that work. And then you don't see the rest of the team here tonight. That's because they are making their way over to the Breer Arts Center, because they're setting up for our marketing movie premiere, A Winter's Charm in Carson City, which goes off at 4 p.m. tomorrow at the Breer Arts Center, as I mentioned. This short film is the center of our winter campaign moving forward. As we've discussed, snow or no snow is the plan. The public will be able to enjoy it at 7 p.m. tomorrow night on visitcarsoncity.com. Lydia says just click on A Winter's Charm on the homepage. We have the press release going out on Wednesday for the campaign, and I just want to thank Lydia here. She has been running these festivities and getting everything set up, because I'm not here tomorrow night, and I'm grateful. I think she's done a remarkable job, and this whole team stepping up to help her make, I think, an incredible night. And if you can be there tomorrow, please do. It's going to be really cool. Having seen, I'm not going to share and give anything away from the video, but my gosh, it's funny as heck. So yeah, no, super, super exciting opportunity tomorrow night, I think, for Carson City. So, and we went through the film process as well, which was probably the easiest film permit process to go through in the entire state of Nevada. We followed that with Hope and her team and Cecilia, and just want to say, anybody looking to bring film here to Carson City, it could not be any easier of a process. So those are my two updates, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any. All right. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to 13B, the transient occupancy tax, actual versus forecast. It's the big piece of paper in your packet. We do have final numbers for September. So just quick recap. If you look at that bottom row, about 5.53% July, year over year, 5.63% in August. Fell apart in September, down 7.21%, but I'm pleased with how we came back in October, just to 0.35% behind prior year, but 0.66% ahead of budget. And just a friendly reminder too, we are down several rooms again through 2 properties, although I feel like there's a third property, I think, that's going through a PIP as well. So all things considered, with 100 and something rooms, I think, Chris, plus or minus 100 rooms offline right now while the renovations are taking place. Pretty pleased, with where I think we'll land for October. So we talked, the RCVA guys talked about ADR. That's definitely what's keeping us where we're at, is the ADR. So I appreciate the properties for holding the line on ADR and not kind of battling one another, fighting for rooms.
ADR is saving the revenue.
I would agree. Yeah, this would not be pretty if it weren't for the ADR. So yeah, I've just kind of left everything again out, so you can see if you go all the way over to the right. Just quick recap. Projection right now is just under 3% ahead of our budget from last May, and negligible. We're basically flat to prior fiscal year at this point. So happy to address any questions from the board on the lodging tax end of things. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to 13C, future agenda items. Would any board member like anything to be brought forward in January? Oh, no takers. Okay. With that, we'll move on to 13D, and that is our next meeting right here in this room, January 13th at 4 p.m. And with that, I will turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you, David. We'll move on to item 14. Any board comments or announcements, requests for information from any of the board? Don't see any. I'll ask for public comment again. Any public comment?
Denny French, while I speak for myself, I also want to speak for the fact that that I would like to see more of us out. to observe this procedure on occasion when they're able to support and with ideas and considerations that they might come up with. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the last item and for possible action to adjourn. I'll make an motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
We're adjourned. Thank you.